Hello everybody and welcome to our Baldwins Hill new early years presentation. I'd like to apologise at this point. We have been plagued with technology issues and therefore this is, I think, our third try at the recording of this video, but we hope that it will all go without a problem and this will be up on the website for you to see. Thank you to those parents who were able to join us on the actual evening. There were a few parents that asked some questions on the night. The biggest one that really sort of came up was what's school going to look like in September? Ultimately, we don't really know. So the thing that I can say to you right now is that at Baldwins Hill, we have many of our early years children in school under quite a regime at the moment of hand washing and distancing as best we can, and they're having a wonderful time. We've had some really good feedback from the children and from parents, and so I hope that that goes some way to reassure you by the way of September that whatever happens, we're going to be doing our very best for it to be an enjoyable time for your children. Okay, I'll get back to introducing myself. I'm Jenny DeBell. I am the acting head teacher at Baldwins Hill. On the screen here you have got Mrs. Lauren Hayward and Mrs. Jessica Hodges. They are our extraordinary early years teachers, and shortly they will be talking through their presentation to explain in more detail the way that the year will look for your children next year. So I think Mrs. Hayward, you're going to start screen sharing, hopefully, fingers crossed. Fantastic. Okay, so on the screen in front of you, you can see me at the top, Mr. Bell. Underneath, we have got Mrs. Emily Webster, who is the assistant head for inclusion over both of our schools because we are an academy. And she heads up a team of teachers and support staff who support children that have additional needs in whatever sort of area. And I know that Mrs. Hayward will talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the presentation. You'll also see there Mrs. Tony Scanlon, who is the assistant head of Baldwins Hill, and she's also a class teacher. You can see them in person in front of you now, but that's Mrs. Hayward and Mrs. Hodges, the early years team. As soon as we know exactly who the teaching assistants will be, we will also get that information out to you as well. Those of you that were able to join us on the introduction presentations, you will have heard our fabulous Year 6 children talking about our core values, and they are responsibility, courage, respect and compassion. This is really where we sort of lay the foundations for everything that we do at our school. We find that rewards and sanctions and everything that goes on in school can really be tied to one of these. Whatever happens, there's always an element of our core values there. I sort of started with this, but normally we would have a very set sort of sequential way that we would do induction for our new early years children at Baldwins Hill. With the current climate and really not having yet a clear view about what that could look like, we've got a plan in place that will be slightly different to the norm, but we don't need to waste your time talking about what the usual induction process would be because the teachers are going to talk about the plans that we've got in place for your children to make it as smooth a transition as possible in the current situation with the information that we know now. And as soon as we find out more, then we'll be able to get some more information to you then as well. And I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get out of the way and let the excellent early years team talk through their presentation. I hope that you are all well, and please remember that if you do have any further questions, that you can always email the school office and we will endeavour to get back to you with some answers as soon as possible. So I'm going to hand over to you ladies. All the best, bye.
Thank you. So some of the things that are going to happen before your child starts school to help them settle in is your children will get a short photo story video which will show some of the areas around school so they can see what it's going to look like in September when they come. It will also have some of the staff and different pictures for them to have a look at, so they can watch that before they come in. You will also get a starting school booklet, which will have some photographs and some of the key areas again, so that you can sit down with your children and have a read through the book and just familiarise yourselves with the adults at school and what it looks like at school. So we will also, myself and Mrs. Hayward, be recording a story session. We'll be reading some of our favourite stories so that then your child can sit and watch it and get to know us a little bit better and hear a story that we enjoy. We are also inviting you in September, before your child comes into class, we invite you in for a 20-minute meeting in school. So you and your child can have a look around the classroom, get to know all the different areas, and also we'll be able to sit down and answer any of your questions or your children's questions, and you'll be able to tell us just a little bit more about yourselves. So as I said, these will happen with myself and Mrs. Hayward in September. So the visits are going to be on the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th of September during the normal school day between 9 and 3. If you're not able to attend one of those times, we can also arrange a telephone conversation so that then we can talk through any questions that you have, and we'll be asking you a few things about your child. You will get those emailed through to you before the time, so that then we can book those slots in. So what we believe, the most important thing for your child starting at school is that they feel happy and secure, and they settle in and have a gentle settling into school. So here's some pictures of some of the learning environments we have here. We have a nice big classroom with lots of exciting resources for your child. We also have a lovely outside area where we have lots of different resources and activities that we can set up. And if the weather's not so good, we also have an outdoor barn, which is really nice learning area for the children. And we also have a really nice large field. So there's a picture of our playground. The children have playtime on the playground, and our hall, which is where the children have lunch, and also we do our assemblies in there. To start with, the early years don't join the assemblies. As part of their settling in, we have assemblies within the classroom, and then we build up to them going into the hall with the rest of the school. So the foundation stage curriculum, this runs from birth to 5 years old. There are 7 areas of learning and development, 3 prime areas, which are communication, language development, physical development, personal, social and emotional development. And then these all feed into the 4 areas, which are literacy, maths, understanding the world and expressive arts and designs. Through the year, the children work towards the early learning goals, and all of our learning is based around a play-based curriculum, and we also follow the children's interests. So everything that we plan for them to do, we follow what the children are interested in. So during the school day, we would have lots of short bursts of direct teaching from the adults in the classroom, and this might be with the whole class, or it might be with small groups, or it could just be with individuals, depending on what the children need to learn. And there are also lots of resources set up with the learning that we're doing for that week, both inside and outside. So the children are able to go and choose and follow their interests and use all the resources that we have around school. So our assessment is ongoing and informal. We look at the play the children are doing, so when they're doing their self-initiated learning, and we look at the things that we've planned and worked with the children on, and all of this feeds into our assessment. These are communicated with you through the year. Also, your children are aware of what they're working on and what they're working towards. One of the times that you would have this shared with you is the family learning conferences in autumn and spring, where your children are invited to come along with you and be part of the meeting. The children are then able to talk about all of the learning they've been doing and show you some of the learning, and also look at their next steps and what they're working towards. The other area that we have is a celebration of learning. So once each term, you're invited to come in with your child into the classroom and have a look at the work that they've been doing and talk through everything they're enjoying, and you're able to share in that and let us know anything that you've been doing at home with the children as well, and what you've noticed they've learnt and they're interested in. And during the year, you also get a written report. So tapestry is something you might be familiar with from nurseries. If you're not, that's fine. We will give you some information about that. You sign up online, and it's safe and secure for you to use and for us to put the information about your children on, with photographs of the work that they've been doing in school, and we write a little bit about what they've done and been learning. And you can also add to this at home and take photographs and show us any learning that they've been doing at home with you. And it's a really nice way for you to be able to share in the learning with your child. Housewood Park, our friends over at Housewood Park, we meet up as often as we can and try to share learning and experiences with them. One of the things that we do each year is having a school trip together, and for the last few years we've been going to the British Wildlife Centre together.
So how can you prepare your child for school? The main thing for us is that they have some independence, that they're able to change in and out of their clothes for PE, that they can take their coat off and on, and that they can use the toilet. If they have any difficulties with any of these things, if you let us know at the school visit, then we can support you in that. It's also useful if they can use a knife and fork and sort of cut up their food. We do help them with this, but using a knife and fork is a good idea. In the current climate, it's quite tricky, but we do like them to be used to playing, talking and socialising with other children, to be able to take turns and to be able to listen to each other and put their own ideas forward. It would be very useful if they could recognise their name, because we use that when they come into school. They find their name slip and then they put that in to register themselves. It's also useful if they have any knowledge of numbers up to 10 or counting up to 10, or any letters that are in their name, or have practiced writing their name. But we, of course, will teach them this. In September and autumn, so the week beginning the 7th of September, there will be a visit to the school to see, as we've already discussed, to see your class teachers and have a look around early years. During the first weeks of the autumn term, we introduce them to their Year 6 buddy, and that buddy will support them in cutting up their food, making sure they get to the right area of the playground, and just being around the school for them as a friendly face when they need to. As they get older and throughout the year, they start to take them into assembly, and they will support them through the first assemblies and things like that. There'll be a gradual introduction to the rest of the key stage through assemblies and things like that over the course of the year. We're intending to run a starting school meeting for all parents. That'll be on the Friday the 9th of October at 2 p.m. if everything goes okay with the social distancing and government guidelines. This will provide you with further information on the curriculum and how to support your child at home. If you look out for letters that say the 4 weeks in meeting, they will give you more information about that once the term starts. Find out Friday sessions. These are held on Fridays in the afternoon, generally just before home time. You'll get dates and times of these confirmed, but they are useful for you to find out what the child's been learning during the week, and generally our most recent phonics sessions, so that you can support them at home and you can chat to them about what they've been doing during school. Early years doors open at 8:40 and we close the register, so we'd like the children in by 8:55, and the school day finishes at 3:05. So on the first day, which will be Monday the 14th of September, that your children will start school. Siblings will come in at 8:50. If you have a brother or sister in school already, an older brother, sister in the school. The autumn borns, so that's if your birthdays are in September, October, November or December, come in at 9:30. Spring born, if they're January, February, March or April, at 10 o'clock. And summer born, if they're May, June, July or August, at 10:30. That's so that we don't have so many adults in the class and parents in the class at the same time. It just makes it easier for the children to settle. On the first day, we encourage parents and carers to come in with their child to help them find their peg, their name card, to settle them in activity. If they have a friend that they know is going to be starting with them, it's useful to find that friend and set them both up at an activity so they're more comfortable before you go. There'll be lots of activities for the children to choose from, and we will make sure that on the school visits, we speak to you about your child's interests so that we can put those activities out for them. After the first week, we do encourage the children to come in on their own as much as possible, and that they take the responsibility for putting their belongings away. This actually works quite well, and the children naturally seem to go into this sort of routine. If you need any support with this, we of course will help you. When you collect at the end of the day, if you stand in our outside area and try and stand in a similar sort of place so that your child knows where to look for you, and we do, if you give your child a wave when you see them at the door, and then we know who to send them to. If you would like to speak to your child's teacher during the year at all, please make an appointment by speaking to the school office or a member of the early years team. We are available at the door on the mornings and afternoons, where we say hello and goodbye to your children, so it's always possible to grab us for a quick chat then. Please let us know if someone other than the mum or dad or regular person is picking them up. If it's a regular person week on week, if you let us know in writing, then we can of course let the child go with that regular person. If it happens that on the day you need to change who's picking your child up, please call the office. The office will call us and let us know so that we can let your child go with the chosen person. Of course, if we don't hear anything, if we don't know anything else, then we won't let them go and we would be contacting you. So we need information from the school office before we would let them go. So the children will have free milk until their 5th birthday, and then it's available at a small cost. There's forms to fill in that will come out in the pack to you. It does change overnight on your child's 5th birthday, and you will need to start paying, so please be aware of that. Fruit is delivered 1 piece a day, delivered by county, that's free, and our snack bar is generally open from about 10 o'clock. We start off by having group snacks where we get to know each other a bit more, sing songs and read stories and things like that. But gradually during the year, so it doesn't interfere with the child's learning, we open the snack bar and the children take a piece of fruit when they're hungry. All children in Key Stage 1 are given a free school hot meal. There is a form in the pack to sign if you do not wish your child to have a free school meal. If you don't want your child to have a free school meal, then send them in with a packed lunch. The school children, when they eat their meals, they do eat lots of things that you wouldn't think they would. They try lots of different foods. And so even if you have a fussy eater, it might be worth trying that to see whether they would eat different foods with their peers. We will of course let you know if your child is not eating, and so that you know if they might be hungry at the end of the day, or if it would be better to bring them in a lunchbox. If they don't eat very much, then we do make sure that they have a snack during the day. So they would have a piece of fruit in the afternoon or something, in a way to make them so they're not hungry. If your child is unwell, we will look after them, of course. If the having a drink and the sending to the toilet and a bit of TLC doesn't work, then we will send them to the office where Mrs. Curried and Mrs. Nix will look after them and call you if they need to be picked up. Please phone the office in the morning before 9 AM and leave a message on the answering machine there if your child will not be coming in that day. That will prevent the office from having to call you. If there is any medical problems, please let us know. There's forms in the pack that you can fill in, or you can let us know on the school visit day. There's certain medication that we can administer in school, and there's forms in the pack as well for you to give permission for that medication. School uniform. Please make sure everything is labelled. Quite often when the children get changed, we end up with a stray sock or an odd shoe, which hasn't been labelled. It's really important that things are labelled, because it makes it so much easier for the children to change back when they know they've got everything and they know what they need to use. You'll receive a pack about how to order the uniform in the information pack that you're being sent out, and that will be online. So our children, these are some of the things our children have said, that they love being with their buddies, they love learning outside, they've made lots of friends, and just generally that they love school and learning new things. This is the student and family support team. They are across both schools, so across Houseford Park and Baldwins Hill, and they are there to support any pupils who have extra needs. So they support children with special education needs and their families within school. They plan and make any necessary adjustments that are needed to ensure that the children are supported and get on well in school, and they make sure that everybody is included and involved that needs to be from the outside providers if needed. If your child does have any needs, please let the school know so that we can begin planning and making sure that their transition is smooth for them. The email address is at the bottom here, the sen@partnersinlearning.co.uk, or you can speak to us on the school visits if you would like to discuss with us anything extra. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to welcoming your child soon.